Hey, it's Yay for Yarn, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet the summer sun hat. So this is a sun hat pattern in a whole bunch of different sizes. So there are lady sizes, but there are also kids and baby sizes. And you do want to keep in mind that because of the way that the stitches worked out on this one, the pattern sizing is just a little bit different than some of my other hat patterns, but you will want to go ahead and just check the head measurements just to make sure. But the adjustments to make the stitch counts work for this were only slight, so it shouldn't really be a problem. So you can make this for a baby, a toddler, a child of any age, and it also comes in lady sizes, like I said. So this one works great for everybody. And I should also mention here that the bow shown in the photos, that is not a part of this pattern actually, but that is from my knotted bow headband. And I just took the headband and stretched it over the top of the hat. So if you want to add the band with the bow on it, then you can go ahead and use the headband pattern, make the headband, and then just put it on top of the hat, because that's what I did. So the first thing you're going to need for this project is the free written pattern, which you will find by clicking the first link in the description box down below. And that will take you to the page on my blog where you can view the free version of the pattern. Or you can purchase a large print, ad-free, printable PDF version of the pattern in my Ravelry store, and that is also linked in the description box under a separate link. So I have some worsted weight cotton yarn here. This is Lion Brand 24/7 cotton, and this is a mercerized cotton. So this is not like the type of cotton you would use for a washcloth, although you could use that type of yarn if you wanted to. But I'm using the mercerized cotton for this one because I think it just gives, for clothing and accessories and things, I think it just kind of gives a more clean, polished look than your typical dishcloth yarn because it doesn't have any fuzz to it. You know, your dishcloth yarn kind of has just a little bit of surface fuzz, whereas this does not. So if you don't mind a little surface fuzz, you can use something like sugar and cream or peaches and cream for this hat, but I'm using the mercerized cotton because I prefer the look of mercerized cotton in wearable items. So I am using the Jade colorway, and I have a little bit less than 2 skeins. I have 1 skein and then a partial skein. Of course, all of the precise requirements are given in the written pattern. So as long as you have enough yardage for the size you want to make, then it doesn't matter if you have a whole skein or half a skein or whatever for your second part, for your second skein. And not all sizes will need more than 1 skein. So I also have a size I crochet hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter. This is my Furls Odyssey Purple. And I also have a measuring tape, scissors, and a yarn needle. So let's get started with the pattern. So this hat is worked in the round, but not in a continuous spiral. So instead, I'm going to be using my invisible join method to keep the hat totally seamless. So that way there's no like turning chain line, but you can still add stripes if you wanted to. So if you want to add stripes, then this pattern will not give you a break in the stripes from being worked in a continuous spiral, because this is not. It's worked in the round like normal, but with my invisible join method, you don't see the seam line. So if you want more information on that, then you can go and watch my video on the invisible join method before we get started. And so we're going to start this from the center out, just like you would start any other crocheted hat. And so a lot of the rounds for this project are going to be very similar in how we make them. All that's going to change is the numbers involved. So I'm not going to demonstrate every single round here just because that would take forever and it wouldn't really be necessary, because as long as you know the techniques from the previous rounds, then all the rest of the rounds are going to be very similar except for just the different numbers. And all the numbers for all the different sizes are in the free written pattern, so you don't have to worry about trying to guess at how many stitches you need for each size. So we're going to start out by chaining 2. Alright, so we're going to pull the very first chain, the one next to the hook. We're going to pull it really tight, and we're going to skip it. We're going to pretend it's not even there. So I'm going to work 6 single crochet in the second chain from my hook. All right. And now we're going to join with an invisible slip stitch into the first single crochet. So if you've seen my video on this, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, then I will go ahead and show you. We're going to stretch the loop on the hook and let go of it. Then we're going to come over here to this very first single crochet and insert the hook into it from back to front. Put the loop over the hook again and pull it through from front to back. So that is our invisible slip stitch. And I'm going to go ahead and bring the yarn tail up over the work so that we can crochet over it. And that is the end of round 1. So now we're going to move on to round 2. So for round 2, we're going to start with a chainless starting single crochet in the same stitch that our loop is coming from. So to do this, I'm just going to stretch the loop on the hook a tiny bit and work a regular single crochet into the same stitch that my loop is coming from. So stretching that loop allows the loop to be lengthened a little bit so that it's not just kind of on a slant, but it kind of comes up and then goes over the top of the stitch. So now I'm going to single crochet again in the same stitch. So that's like having 2 single crochets in the same stitch like that. So we have the chainless starting single crochet and another single crochet in that very first stitch. And now we're going to work 2 single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. So I'm going to work 2 single crochet in this one, that's 1. 2 single crochet in this one, that's 2. 2 single crochet in the next one, that's 3. In the next one, that's 4, and then here's the 5th one right here. Alright, so now we're going to work that invisible join again. We're going to stretch the loop on the hook, let go of it, insert the hook into the first stitch from back to front, grab the loop and pull it through from front to back. Alright, so that's the end of round 2. And again, I'm going to bring the yarn tail up and continue working over it, so I won't have to weave it in later. Alright, now we're going to move on to round 3. By the way, for the end of round 2, you should have 12 stitches in your round. That does not include the invisible slip stitch. So for round 3, we're going to work another chainless starting single crochet in the same stitch the loop is coming from, like so. And then we're going to work 2 single crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to work a little sequence that we repeat all the way across or all the way around. And the little sequence is to single crochet in the next stitch, 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So we're going to keep repeating that again, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 2 single crochets in the next stitch. We're going to do that all the way around. Alright, so we're back to the beginning again. I'm going to work that invisible slip stitch to join into the first stitch, which was the chainless starting single crochet. Alright, and that's the end of round 3. So now you should have 18 stitches in your round. So now let's move on to round 4. And I want to explain something here first. If we continue working all of our increases where we put 2 single crochet into 1 stitch, if we continue doing that in the same place for every round, then we're going to end up with a hexagon instead of a circle. So to make it completely circular without any like pointed parts from the hexagon, then we're going to stagger our increases. So this is not really going to be any harder than if we put them all in the same places. We're just going to need to kind of pay attention to what the pattern says as far as where to put them. So for round 4, we're going to work a chainless starting single crochet in the same stitch that our loop is coming from. We're going to work 2 single crochet in the next stitch. And then our sequence that we're going to work is to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to do that 5 times total, which I already did it once. So here's the second one, 2 our single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet in the next stitch. And we're going to keep doing that until we get back to the beginning almost, but we will have a stitch left over by the time we finish working this sequence. Alright, so that was the 5th time. And now we have 1 stitch left in the round. I'm going to single crochet in that last stitch and join with the invisible slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, which was our chainless starting single crochet. Alright, so that is round 4. You can see that we have some very soft hexagon points, but they're very slight, so we're not going to worry about them too much because we're going to stagger the increases again in coming rounds so that they will not be pointed. So for round 5, we're going to work a chainless starting single crochet in the same stitch our loop is coming from, and then we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and now we're going to work 2 single crochet in the next stitch. So now we're going to repeat a little sequence all the way around, and that is to single crochet in the next 3 stitches and work 2 single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next 3 stitches, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to do that all the way around. Alright, we're back to the beginning. Now I'm going to work that invisible slip stitch to join. And that is the end of round 5. So you should have 30 stitches at this point. And next we're going to do round 6. So we're going to work a chainless starting single crochet in the same stitch. Then we're going to work 2 single crochet in the next stitch. This is one where the increases are staggered again. And then we're going to do a little sequence of single crochet in the next 4 stitches, and then 2 single crochet in the next stitch. So we're going to repeat that a total of 5 times. So I already did it the first time, and this is the second time. Alright, so now I've repeated that a total, or I've worked that sequence a total of 5 times. And now we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches and join with the invisible slip stitch. Alright, so that was round 6. And we're going to do round 7 now, so we're going to chainless starting single crochet in the same stitch, and then we're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches, and 2 single crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to repeat our little sequence, and for this one we're going to do single crochet in the next 5, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. Alright, so we're back to the beginning, and of course we're going to join with the invisible slip stitch. And this might look like it's hard to get into right now, and it's really not that hard. It's just a matter of picking up both strands at the same time, and then it can be really easy. If you try to pick up one strand of the stitch at once, then that makes the other one tighter and makes it a little harder to get in there, but it's not like a really tight stitch to work into. So if we look at this right now, let's lay this down. If we smooth this out, you can see here that there are no hexagon points on this piece. It's pretty circular. So we're getting a smooth circle here without any hexagon points and without any like distinct lines where the increases all line up and kind of curve the same direction. So this is going to give a completely seamless look without any like increased lines. And because of that invisible join, we will still be able to work stripes in this hat if you want to. And if you do, I have an entire video on how to work stripes while you're using the invisible join method. So right now I'm going to go ahead and stop here as far as showing you each round, because there are quite a few more rounds, especially if you're making a bigger size. I'm making the adult small. And so I still have quite a few more rounds to go, but all of the rounds are basically worked the same method and the same techniques as the ones we already did. It's just that they get bigger and we add more stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and stop showing you every single round at this point, but as long as you have the written pattern, which you can get at the link in the description box like I said, then you won't have to worry about trying to guess at it. All the rounds are basically the same after this, they're just have more stitches in them. So in the pattern you will see the instructions will say, okay, for such and such size, stop here and move on to the body of the hat. I'm going to stop when it tells me to and skip the last few rounds for the bigger sizes and then just go on to the body of the hat without working those other rounds. So I'm going to continue working through the rounds that follow up until where I'm supposed to stop for the adult small, and I will show you what my piece looks like when I get to that point. Alright, so I have finished the crown of the hat for my size, and no matter what size you're making, your crown of your hat will look something like this, just a flat circle. And now we're going to start bringing it down into kind of like the straight section of the hat. The body of the hat is like the section between the crown and the brim. So that's the section that comes straight down from the top. So we're going to start working the body of the hat, and there's only one round for this. So for round 17, which is the body of the hat, we're going to work a chainless starting single crochet in the same stitch, and then we're going to single crochet all the way around until we get back to the beginning. Alright, so I'm back to the beginning, and of course we're going to join with that invisible slip stitch. So that is the end of round 17, and we're going to keep repeating round 17 until the hat is the correct length for the size that you're making. Now you will want to take note that at this point, and as you start working this the first few times, it's not going to look like it's curving down yet, but it will kind of gradually curve down as it gets bigger. And so when we are measuring, we're going to fold it like this, because here's the center of the hat. So when we measure the length, we're going to be measuring from the center of the hat down to wherever we're at the moment. So right now, obviously this is way too short, but I will continue repeating the round 17 until, for the adult small, until it's 8 inches long from the center. So I'm going to place the 0 at the center of the hat, and so I will have to keep going until it's a total of 8 inches long. And right now we're only at about 3 1/4. So I'm going to keep repeating round 17 until my hat is the correct length, and it will gradually start to curve down as we continue repeating round 17. Alright, so I now have my body of the hat worked to the correct length. And as I mentioned before, we measure the length of it from the center. So I would take this and kind of collapse it like this. And then I would measure, putting the 0 at the little center point of the hat, measure down over the curve to my edge. And for the adult small, which is the size that I'm making, I need it to be 8 inches long from the center down to the edge. And now we're going to move on to the brim. So because there are so many sizes included in this pattern, the brim is, there's a lot of rounds for the brim. Now, not all of them apply to every size, because some of the rounds are only for the smaller sizes and some of them are only for the larger sizes. So in the instructions for the brim, the pattern will tell you, okay, for this size, start at such and such a round and then stop when you've finished such and such a round. So for the size that I'm making, which is the adult small, I need to begin by working round 23 in the front loops only, and then continue working the following rounds until I've finished with round 38. So for the first round, no matter which size you're doing, the first round you work of the brim will be in the front loop only. Now, if you don't know what that means, if we look at the top of a stitch and we insert our hook into it, there are 2 strands to this stitch. There's a front loop, which is the one closest to you, and then the back loop is the one further away. So we're going to be only working this round into the front loop, which is the one closest to us, and that will make the brim kind of turn so that it is running perpendicular to the previous section of the hat. So obviously if you're making a different size, you're going to start with a different round and end with a different round. But I'm showing the adult small here, so for the size that I'm making, I'm going to work a chainless starting single crochet in the same stitch. And like I said, this whole round is front loop only. And this is probably the only place where it might be a little tricky to insert with the chainless starting stitch. But I'm going to chainless starting single crochet in the same stitch, single crochet in the next 6 stitches, and again these are front loop only. And then we're going to work 2 single crochet in the next stitch, again in the front loop only. And then for this round, I'm supposed to work a sequence of single crochet in the next 13 and then 2 single crochet in the next stitch. And I'm going to do that 5 times. Alright, so that was the first time I did the single crochet in the next 13 and then 2 single crochet in the next stitch. So now I'm going to keep doing that 4 more times because I already did it once. Alright, so now I can join to the very first stitch with an invisible slip stitch. And if you found that front loop only part a little difficult, don't worry, because that's the only time we're going to do this. But now you can see, since we did that, and since we're going to be continuously increasing this out as if it were a flat circle, then the brim is going to kind of come straight out off of this, as opposed to coming out of it like this. So it's going to come straight out flat, and you can see how this is going to be the brim of our hat as we make it larger. So from now on, after we've done the very first round for our brim, we're going to work all the rows in the both loops. So we're not going to do the front loop only anymore, both loops as usual. And we're going to continue working through the rounds given for whatever size you're making until it tells you to stop. So I'm going to continue working the following rounds, which, like I mentioned before with the top of the hat, they're not really anything new or different techniques. They're all the same techniques that we've been doing all this time. It's just that the numbers are different for each round. So I'm going to continue working through the rounds for the size that I'm making until I get to the point where I'm supposed to stop. Alright, so I have finished the brim of my hat, as you can see, and this is where I'm at right now. I've just finished joining, it actually goes this way. I just finished joining the last round of my brim. So now what we're going to do is we are going to add kind of some stabilization to the edge of this. Now, a lot of times when people make hats like this, they use a wire around the edge to have some shape to the brim and to keep it from getting, being too floppy. And you can do that if you want to, but I would rather not put a wire in it because I want this hat to be able to be smushed, folded up, and not have any damage to the wire in it. And so I'm going to do something else to kind of stabilize the edge and make it more sturdy. So what we're going to do is we just finished the last round of our brim. We're going to turn the work over so that the wrong side of the brim is facing up. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch all the way around the entire edge of the brim until we get back to where we started. Now, we want to do this kind of loosely, not like loose and, stringy and floppy, so that the strands of yarn are just like hanging off the fabric. That's not what I mean. When I say slip stitch loosely, I mean don't pull your slip stitches tight, because a lot of people slip stitch very tightly, as if they were joining. And since we're not joining here, we want our slip stitches to just be the regular size of the stitches we're working into so that we don't like scrunch up the edge. So we're going to do this several times around. So we're going to slip stitch all the way back around, and then we're going to come down here and slip stitch into the base of that row. And then we're going to come back around and slip stitch again into the base of the next row. So we're going to be working several rounds of slip stitches. Each time we get around, we're going to move down to the next round closer in to the hat. And we're going to do this about 3 times. You can go more and do it more times if you want to, but we only really actually need 3 rounds of slip stitching to keep this edge pretty stable. So I'm going to slip stitch, like I said, all the way around till I get back to the beginning where I started. Alright, so I'm back around to where I started, and now what we're going to do is we're going to move down to work into the little bitty holes that are the base of that last row. So I'm going to bring my hook down here and insert into this hole right here, and then the next one, and we want to just follow them in a line and continuously go around in the same, working into the same row all the way around. And you can kind of see how this is going to look as far as from the underside, but on the top, all we're getting here is just these little horizontal, what looks like stitching lines that go all the way around. So we're going to have that for like the first maybe 5/8 inch of the edge of the brim, and this is going to add some extra stability and structure to the edge of our hat. So again, I'm going to slip stitch following this entire row. It's the row beneath the one we just worked in, so I'm going into these holes, going all the way around, and then get back to where we started. Alright, so I'm back to the beginning. And again, now we're going to move down a row and start inserting into the little holes from the next row down. So now we did around the top edge first, then we came around and did the base of that row. Now we're going to insert into the base of the next row. So again, I'm just going to slip stitch in this manner all the way around, working into the base of the row. We're kind of going underneath the row we just did and working into these holes now. So I'm going to keep doing that all the way around until I get back to the beginning. Alright, so I am right about back to where I started. And once I go through this last stitch right here, I'm going to stop because this is the end of my round. So I'm coming back to where I originally dipped down to this current round that I'm on, and I'm going to stop right here. So I've already gone around it 3 times with the slip stitch. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the yarn tail. And I'm going to take my crochet hook and pull the loop on the hook until the end comes out. And that will bring my yarn tail to the wrong side. I can kind of pull that very last stitch kind of tight as a tie off. And then I can weave in my yarn tail. So I'm just going to weave this in to the back of this next row here, kind of going through the center of the crochet stitches as if I were crocheting over the tail. So I will weave in the rest of it later, but you get the point. I'm just weaving it in into the center of that row. And so here is the finished hat. Right now it kind of looks a little floppy because the fabric itself is not like stiff like a regular store-bought hat would be. And so here is what our brim looks like. And this edge of the brim is going to be a little bit sturdier and a little bit stiffer because we did that slip stitch all the way around. And that will help our hat keep a little more shape and not be quite as floppy as if we didn't have it there at all. So as you can see, it does kind of curl up a little bit. That is pretty natural. The crochet will naturally kind of want to curl. So I'm going to go ahead and block my hat. I'm going to steam block it, mostly just on the brim. And the steam block will help the fabric to relax a little bit, and that will help with the curling. But part of the reason it's curling is because I have it flat on the table. But normally when you wear it, it would be kind of going down like this and wouldn't really be curling. So I'm going to go ahead and block the brim. And then for my hat, I'm going to add my knotted bow headband around the outside. And then that will just kind of sit right above where the brim starts, like so. And once we block the edge of the hat to keep it from curling, then our hat will be finished. And if you want the free pattern for the knotted bow headband that I added to my hat, then you can get that via the link in the description box. There's several links, and the one that you want for this pattern is the one that says knotted bow headband on it. But of course, if you don't want to add that, then you can just leave it plain or make your own regular crochet band to go on it if you like, or even a ribbon would be nice. So now that we have our brim finished and our embellishment, then our hat is done. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you have ever crocheted a sun hat in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, making sure you click the little bell next to the subscribe button to be notified of new videos. Thanks for watching.